A fake HOA cop named Mike Collins pulled a gun on me, an actual police officer, right at my own gated community. His thirst for power and reckless intimidation threatened not only me, but the safety of every neighbor. But what he didn't expect was that I had backup just moments away, ready to expose his lies and stop him for good. Just wait until you hear how this tense showdown ended and why justice ultimately prevailed in a way no one saw coming. My name is Michael Harris. I've served as a police officer in Los Angeles for over 15 years. After countless late-night shifts dealing with all sorts of chaos, all I wanted tonight was to get home and finally rest. The familiar sight of the gated community where I live should have brought relief, but instead, it marked the start of a nightmare I never saw coming. As I pulled up to the security gate, a man stepped out of a small guard booth. He was dressed in what looked like a security uniform, but with a patch that read HOA Cop. His name tag said Mike Collins. He had that look, the kind of guy who takes himself way too seriously for a job that doesn't actually give him any real authority. "Sir, you need to step out of the vehicle," he said sharply without offering any explanation or showing a badge or credentials. I raised an eyebrow, taken aback by the abruptness. I figured maybe this was some new HOA protocol or security check, so I kept my cool and nodded. "All right, let me see what this is about," I thought. But then, when I reached for my wallet to show my police badge, my real badge, Mike's demeanor changed in an instant. His eyes narrowed. Without warning, he reached for something at his side and pulled out a handgun, the barrel leveled directly at me. In that split second, everything froze. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This guy, some HOA wannabe, was pointing a gun at a legitimate police officer. Me. My training told me to stay calm, but inside, a storm of disbelief and alarm crashed over me. How could this man with no real authority dare threaten my life like this? I sat there, heart pounding, staring down the barrel of a weapon held by a man who had no idea who I really was. The shock was total. This was not just a violation of protocol. It was a dangerous, reckless act that could have ended in disaster. I knew in that moment that this night was far from over, and what happened next would change everything. Mike Collins was the kind of man you immediately recognized as a small-time tyrant, someone who craved control far beyond his actual power. He wasn't a real cop, but he acted like one, using a fake badge and a uniform that barely passed for legitimate security gear. What drove him wasn't justice or protection, but a desperate hunger to dominate the neighborhood, to rule it with intimidation and fear. From the moment he pulled that gun on me, it became clear his motivation was simple: to make himself feel important. To him, this weapon was a symbol of authority he didn't actually have, a way to command respect and obedience from people who had no choice but to comply. His power was an illusion, but the threat was very real. With every second that gun stayed trained on me, my hatred grew. Not just for Mike Collins, but for the system that allowed this to happen. How could an HOA security guard, a man with no real law enforcement training or authority, carry a firearm and act with such recklessness? It was a dangerous failure of oversight, one that put everyone's safety at risk, including mine. But despite the rage boiling beneath my skin, I knew that losing my composure would be fatal. This wasn't a situation to meet force with force blindly. I had to stay calm, steady, and think clearly. The right moment would come, and when it did, I had to be ready, because this man's bluff was about to be called. Mike took a slow step closer, his gun unwavering, aimed straight at me. The shock that had frozen me moments before melted away, replaced by a fierce, burning anger, the kind that sharpens your focus and fuels your resolve. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about stopping a dangerous man before he crossed a line no one could come back from. "Drop the weapon, Mike," I commanded, my voice steady but powerful. I lifted my badge once again, flashing it clearly in the dim light. But he didn't flinch. Instead, his grip on that gun tightened, his eyes wild and desperate. I knew I couldn't waste time. Without hesitation, I reached for my official police radio and activated the emergency signal, the unmistakable call for backup. Almost immediately, I saw panic flash across Mike's face. In that moment, it was clear he understood he was caught. Within seconds, the sound of sirens filled the air. My fellow officers arrived swiftly, their presence turning the tide. They moved in with practiced efficiency, disarming Mike and securing him without a single shot fired. Later, the investigation confirmed what I already suspected. Mike Collins had no legal authority whatsoever. His gun? Illegal. His uniform? Nothing more than a costume to mask his delusions of power. But thanks to keeping Mike cool and calling for backup, a potentially deadly situation was diffused before it could spiral out of control. As Mike Collins was led away in handcuffs, the weight of the night finally lifted from my shoulders. I didn't just feel relief. There was a deep, undeniable satisfaction settling in. This wasn't just about me standing up to a dangerous man. It was about confronting a broken system that had allowed someone like Mike to play cop and threaten innocent people. Tonight, that corrupt illusion was shattered. One by one, neighbors began to emerge from their homes, their faces reflecting gratitude and a newfound sense of safety. They thanked me for standing strong when it mattered most, for not backing down in the face of reckless intimidation. Their voices carried hope that the community could be a place where real protection and respect prevailed. In that moment, I understood something important. No matter how twisted or unfair a situation might seem, justice can prevail. It requires patience, courage, and the will to keep fighting, even when the odds feel overwhelming. When you refuse to give up and hold on to your integrity, the truth finds a way to come to light. Tonight was proof, a reminder that standing for what's right can make a difference, and that real authority is earned through responsibility, not fear.